All right, welcome back to another episode of Home Built by Howard. This episode, we are going to get the front of the car back on.
360, 75 hours, 10-6.
If you're new here, this is my TR6 Restomod, where I'm taking all the mechanicals and electronics from a BMW 135 and stuffing it into the body of a 1968 Triumph TR6 with a custom frame. If you haven't seen my previous episodes, there's a whole playlist. Take a look, catch up. I keep saying like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, algorithm, all that. Really, I really appreciate the people who did subscribe and those who like and, those who comment. You guys are awesome. I just don't care really if the algorithm finds me or not. I'm doing this just for the fun of it. So the few of you who stick around, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. So last episode, we fixed the rear spoiler and we did a ton of welding. We got the seat mounts, the bolts, the nuts into the frame. We did those outriggers against the sill so that we can weld the body to the frame. It's currently bolted into place, and if you remember from last episode, 7 out of the 8 seat holes were just perfect. One was messed up, but hey, that's not bad. Anyone want to do the math on what percentage that is? I'm good with that. So yeah, let's get started. Let's walk you around and show you what we're going to try to accomplish. Okay, so if you remember, we cut the front of the car off because we are going to be putting the BMW strut towers, we're grafting them into place. Now, in a previous episode, we cut them out, we got them dry fit, we kind of figured that everything was in the right place, and then we left it in order to fix all the holes in the floor and the body so that this can be permanently mounted and we don't have to move it again, because moving forward these strut towers are actually going to be welded directly to the frame in place, and the front is going to go onto that. So I don't want to have to be moving the body around, right? It's a lot easier to adjust the smaller pieces. So over here we have those parts. They're in here. They've been cut. They've been cleaned. I scraped all the gunk off of them. I was able to pick up a set of coilovers at a junkyard or at a recycle or a U-pull place, which was awesome because those things are damn expensive and they just happen to be sitting on a car there. So I think first things first, what we need to do is we need to get those held into place temporarily, because they also sit off the rail. There's a bit of a jog in it where I'm going to need to weld a bar onto here to take up the space, because it touches here, but then it tucks out and it goes down. And I want to leave as much of that material as possible. I don't want to just cut it where it's where it touches and that's the end of it. I'd rather it, come a lot further down. Anyway, so let's put you on a tripod and let me grab those and start messing around. Okay, so what I did was ground around the outside, did a bit of trimming, and then I made these pieces here so that the inside of it is square, and it'll sit right up against the which I'll call it right up against the frame. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to weld these onto here first. That way they stay in place and make life easy. Then I'll mount it to the frame and we can weld it all the way around with a nice heavy bead, a nice heavy weld. So let's pull out the welder and get this welded around. Okay, so pop these back into place here. You can see I got the pieces in there, so it's sealed all the way around underneath and at the back side here. So what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to give this a bit of a clamp, to tighten it, and I'll be able to weld it all the way around, and that is not going to go anywhere. Yeah, so either way, so that's going to be one part of it. I'm going to weld around the inside here and as much as I can along this inner seam here on both sides. And then not to forget that, I'm going to have, it's going to be attached to the original panels here, as well as I'm going to have to make my own sort of box thing here for the brake booster electronics that goes here for the ABS. So that'll be attached to that. There'll be a cross brace going across this way, as well as the two diagonals going that way. And there's going to be a roll bar. I can't put it on the inside, so I'm probably what I'll be doing is I'll be bringing it from the outside, tucking it around the booster, and then bringing it to the inside. That's what this test piece was for originally. I just sort of took this and put it like that to see if I could, how tight of a bend I could get from it. And it looks like it's not going to be an issue for me to, have this like that on the inside. So that's where I'm at right now. The same, you can see on the other side, the original firewall. I'm going to cut away the old firewall because I don't need it once I have the old firewall in place, because that old firewall, if you remember, has the connector for the electronics box that goes in here, and we're going to have to build a piece around that'll attach to this here to box that in. But having the original waterproof electronics box with the wiring that goes into here, and then the wires that go into the cabin of the car under the dash, with the amount of leg room, we're going to have tons of room in here. So this will get going once, the side is secured up against this. And then we'll be building the rest of the firewall based on that. So, the only thing left to do would be to fit the front. I have to make a set of plates here that match the bumper plates from the original car, and then we'll have a ton of other stuff to do. So anyway, this is where we're at. So let's keep going forward. Oh yeah. Okay, so grabbed a couple of these straight edges here, and what I did is I measured back from my reference face here at 2 inches to give myself some clearance, and then clamped it at exactly, vertical, 90 degrees to the ground, both of them. So they are both exactly the same distance. They're the same distance back from the front. They're both vertical to each other. Then what I did is I took some reference measurements from the leading edge to this hole here, because there is the exact same hole on the other side, and it's referenced. So these are exact mirrors of each other. So I was able to take an exact measurement, and I'm exactly 24 and a half centimeters from the edge of this hole here to the face of this, which means that both of these are perfectly aligned with each other, and they are exactly the same distance back from that face. So they can be now tack welded into place. What I'm actually going to do is I'm gonna scribe a very sharp line on them, and then I'm gonna remove them. I'm gonna give it a sanding, a belt sanding or a grinder on the frame to get to clean metal. I'm then gonna run some weld through primer on it, put them back in place, and we are going to stitch weld them into place so they're permanent, which means that they are in the right position for the body. So they are in the correct orientation for lining up the suspension to the right place within a millimeter or two. Like there's going to be plenty of adjustment if I need to make it in the mechanicals of the front suspension. So I'm not too worried if these are like a millimeter or two back or forward from where they need to be. I can make those adjustments. So anyway, let's scribe those and get them ready for welding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then. So what I did was I did a stitch weld. I got some rust through primer on it, and just did a stitch weld. And this is like super, stiff. It's like, just because of this rib in here and the fact that it's all welded, around the top, etc. It's really stiff. I mean, it's not super stiff. It's not as stiff as it was in the original car, but I still have a lot of welding to do. So I still have to, finish attaching these to the original body, which is going to be solid, and that's going to help. I have a fair bit of I've got the tubing that's going to go in for the roll cage is going to help, as well as once I put the nose on, I'm going to weld on the front curved fender, inner fender here as well. So there's a fair bit of stuff that is going to help stiffen this up. Plus, as I mentioned before, there's going to be a cross brace going across the top as well as triangulated to the roll cage in the center of the car, just like it was originally. So that's going to be super stiff. So both of those are done. And now all that's left is to roll the car. Let's roll the car over here so you can take a quick look at it without destroying my stool. Well, I'd put an electric motor on this. It would be faster, wouldn't it? So we are getting there. I am really pleased with that. And that positions it just nicely where I want it. So now I can really start to tie all of this, all this together here and over there, as well as start to work on this firewall properly. That's going to be the next thing. So I'm not going to worry about putting the nose cone on. I'm going to tuck into getting this whole firewall and all this section of the car, from here to here, just done. That's where we're headed. Well, I've popped the seat into place, and I just put one screw into place. Can you believe that back rail is longer than this front rail, this side rail here, which means that my back corner screw is in the wrong place. Yeah, so I guess, I have a couple options. First option is just to measure it and roll the car over and drill it from the bottom and put the nut in and, do that. And the second option is to yank the body off, which is now going to be a complete and utter friggin' nightmare because I've welded these into place and the body wasn't supposed to come off, which means that is sitting on top of that. This side, not so bad, but on the other side, I actually have it, overlapped, right? It's like, and yes, I likely want to cut this away, to meet up with this. So I'll have to cut it, but what a pain in the butt. Oh, like seriously. Anyway, enough of my problems. That's We'll get to it anyway. So I put the steering wheel into place along with the brake booster and the ABS unit here. If you remember from an episode way back when we cut this out, we did all these measurements here. We made sure that the hood went on and cleared this so that there's space for this. We know that the fender will wrap around this, and we're going to have to build a box around this unit to keep it inside the engine bay so that it's not, in the wheel well. But for now, I wanted to get this into place so I can start working on the firewall. And I think the first thing that I really need to do is I need to mount this steering wheel. It is in the correct position. I still have my mark at the top for the center line. So it actually needs to go that way by about 1/2 inch. It's just resting where it is. So, but it's at the right distance out. Currently, it is pulled out as far as it'll go, and it is as high as it will go. So when I'm sitting in the car, I actually will need the seat pulled forward about 2 or 3 inches in order to properly reach the pedals nicely and, the steering wheel, which gives me that sort of, I'm, 5'11", right? So it means that someone who's 6'1" could sit in this car, or 6'2", and could drive this car. Now, their head's going to bang into the roll cage, but that's just a different story. It's not their car. It's mine, and I'm 5'11", and I'm getting shorter as I get older. So, bonus for me. Okay, so anyway, so I have the steering wheel placed. So I think the first thing I need to do is get some kind of a support structure to hold that steering wheel in place. And I think that that's probably, is it going to involve roll cage or not? It's like in the original car, there was a tube that went across under the dashboard that, the whole front clip mounted to, or the whole front in centerpiece all mounted to as a single piece that they bolt in. I'm going to have one that goes across, but it's going to attach and be welded to the uprights that come up here and run up and around the windshield. But I wasn't planning on doing that just yet. So I think what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to do something off of these 2 bolts here. And I'm not 100% sure what that's going to be just yet. So let me have a head scratch, and I'll be back. Well, I don't know if I made it more difficult for myself or made it easier for myself. So I put the center console back in place here, and it has that cross brace, the round one, as I was talking about over here, that attached to this. Now, this actually attached further back in the original car. The front edge of this, and it's hard to see, but I can get around this side. You can sort of see where it's rounded over here. Like right here was actually in line with this piece here. So this metal bracket was actually further back this way in the dash, which, obviously is putting my steering wheel closer to the dash, but I mean, there's a lot different in this. But I got the heating unit in place, the steering wheels in place, the brake boosters in place, and then what I also did is I put in these cross braces, these ones, the strut tower braces that originally went to the center of the car, right? Now, because this car is obviously narrower, or actually no, it's not, because these are in exactly the same position width-wise as they were in the other car, so that is, should be dead center. Now it's not going to be dead center to the heating unit, but it'll be dead center to the car. And I'll have to double check and take a measurement on that. Because if it's not, then it means that these are tilted one way or the other, which could just be like, wow. Anyway, don't know if I made it easier for myself or harder, but you can sort of see it coming together where I definitely need something solid here to provide that support in the strut towers. That has to go down to somewhere on the frame. Now, I know that I'm going to have something coming here, right? Running along the outside here, and then coming inside the fender here, which will attach up to the vertical going here on the windshield, right, as well as the cross brace here. So there's going to be a thing underneath here that's going to have a whole bunch of bars attached to it. So if I have something running this way, and even if I, maybe just bring it from here and then tuck it in and bring it between these two, like in here, but above this rather than to the outside, that might actually be better for me to bring it there. But I've got the actual hoses come out through here, and they come out and go down to the brakes. So I'm not sure if that would work because I need to leave myself the room for those. So I think I'm going to have to keep scratching my noodle on this a little bit more before I actually do something, that I regret. Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep noodling this. Well, what I've done is I took a bunch of measurements, and I have decided that I need to remove this piece of metal here down to this lip, and that lip will attach up to the bottom of the firewall piece. It's flat and it's straight. So surprisingly, the bottom of the firewall piece that's over there that holds the brake booster is actually level and straight, and so is this. So, and it just so happens they line up. So I'm gonna cut this away so that I can weld that into place, which will put me, will put that at least in the position it needs to be in. And then what I can do is I can do some bracing around that piece. What I'm thinking is I have room underneath, and the top of this is above this. So what I might actually do is run some 1x2 or 1x1 across here, and then bring it up, and start to build a box section that is kind of at the front, but I can only bring it to here because I need to keep this behind the engine because that's where the motor sits, right? Obviously. So I'll have to see where I'm going to put that. I may end up having to take this thing off the rotisserie and, put the motor in place. Got to figure it out. Anyway, let's get this cut off and get that piece tacked into place. Well, I got this piece just sitting in place here, as you can see, and it's nice and tight, and it's level along the bottom here, along that edge. So I'm going to that's going to have to be welded in. But I think before I do that, I want to leave myself enough room to cut this piece here, and get just lined up with the inside of this. There's a few bits and bobs in there that will be hard to get at if I weld that into place right away. So now that I know that it's in the right place and that I'm happy with it, I can just move it to the side and trim it. I trimmed away here so that I can run a piece flat from the end of this. So what I'll probably end up doing is taking a measurement just in cardboard from this and welding it onto this piece. That way, I can just do the whole seam in one shot. There's a bit of wonky crap down in here that's going to take a little bit of finicky, welding to fix, but that's part of it. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Let's get that out and cut this piece and do some other stuff. Well, I got this piece tacked into place now, and it's nice and secure. It's also helping to hold the side a little bit better. I'll just show you inside here. So I just used the MIG welder, because it's just so hard to get in here. Especially like I can't rotate the car with all this crap in here. Now, I have my heating cables come out here and here, and the hoses come under here. This is where the old AC came out, and they can sort of see this cutout here. That is where they go into the engine bay beside the cutout for the steering shaft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab those hoses and pop the piece into place so that I can work around that firewall. I wish I'd kept the rest of this. Don't think I did. In retrospect, I probably should have just cut I should have taken the shock towers and that whole section of the firewall in one piece and just cut away what I needed. Just didn't think about it. At the time I thought, oh, what am I doing? But all right, let's see what we can do with that right now so that we can get this firewall buttoned up. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is actually making some pretty big moves here rather than messing around with little pieces here and there. I've got the two parts that I really need in place. I'll get this one piece right in here with the where the hoses come through for the heater. And then after that, it's going to be pretty big moves. Yeah, nothing's ever as easy as you think it's going to be. So I kept the rubber grommet, foam and rubber that isolates the hoses, which does go around it, but it goes around it here, not here. So this unit is, it's a good three inches back, from where it was in the original car compared to the firewall, to be expected in a custom build. Yes, the steering column, I've had to move it as closer to the dashboard, just because of seating position. So what I want to do is I do want to use this because I can seal this properly around, through the firewall. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a piece. This goes like this on a bit of an angle like that, right? I don't need these two holes. So what I might end up doing is cutting this. I might end up just cutting it, and I don't know, because I do not want, this. You see, this unit is actually closer to the steering wheel as well than it was, so it's kind of pushing into the space where the steering column comes through. But I do need some kind of a seal or a gasket. So I'm going to try to customize something here. I know I'll probably have to use some sort of, caulking or something like that. But at least if I have something like this that's in place, I can caulk it right to the. I can run some caulking right to the firewall. Yeah. I don't want to make anything out of foam. I hate making foam parts. Not that it's super difficult. I just don't have a 3D printer, which will make it a pain in the ass. So, all right. Well, either way, this here is in line with where the original firewall was here, which is where I want to end up anyway. So I need to, I'm basically going to make a piece that comes from here and goes all the way to the far side there, right? And tucks around, and I'll have to do a little bit of trimming down here. But basically that's what I want to try and do, is go from here all the way across to this edge, here, and then I'll just have to do a piece that goes that way. So let's get some cardboard onto that and see what it looks like. Well, all right. Well, I got this in place. So that's gonna sit like this, and this here, I'm likely going to have to cut out a circle and inset it by about a half a centimeter or so, in order for it to sit properly. I'm going to see if maybe I have a piece of original stamped metal from the BMW that I can just cut a hole out of, cut like one of these out of that's already dimpled in, and then just weld that into place, just because it'd be nice and clean. So this lines up beautifully in here. You can sort of see I've got room between the edge and my boot here. This I'm actually going to come the other way. I just put it this direction to support the corner of my angles. So that's going to actually come out 82 centimeters or millimeters to this face here, and it'll come straight out, which will be perfect. And then I can just cut away. I can cut away some of this. I keep going off and thing. I'm looking at what I'm doing, not hammer. So yeah, what I'll do is this will come out along here, right? And I'll have to cut away some of this, which will let me get those hoses into place. As far as what I'm going to do here, not 100% sure yet. Now, the interesting thing is the way that this sits, I have I have enough room for the original cabin air filter. Now, I'm not sure whether I want to do that, because I have like that box there. So I have to put a piece of metal up against that anyways. But if I could box in, under here or something, run a duct, something along those lines, so that I'm actually using the original air filter, that might be kind of cool. Thing is that, I'm not sure whether I want to be sucking the air from under the engine compartment like that for the heating system. But either way, my original idea was that what I would do is I would have some kind of a ducting that comes through here. And because the fenders are going to be out here, right? And they're going to be sealed for the splash. And I have the original wiper fluid tank that fits in here really nice. What I might do is duct it in such a way that the way the fender flares are going to be, I could actually draw air in, this way for all I need it. It's a convertible. I figure we're going to get enough air in this thing anyways. It's more for just being able to suck a bit of air in if I need the heating system, defrost. I'm going to have to defrost it with no roof. Oh, it's one of those silly things where, do I even need the heating system at all in this car, right? It's like, anyway. So that piece looks good for now. So I think what I'm going to do is take that apart, take it out of there. We'll template it onto a piece of steel. We'll bend it up as best we can without a break, because Genius Howard sold his 48-inch box brake like 3 months before I started this project, right? Figured, I'm never going to use it. I haven't used it in 10 years. I use it once a year, if that. It's COVID. Let me just get rid of it. And then 3 months later, I buy a project car and I need a box brake. Oh, man. Don't sell your tools, kids. So let's do that. So we got that piece of metal bent. A little wonky up in here just because my brake, is such that I had to put a piece of angle iron on the edge of my desk and clamp it weird, and then use a hammer, bend it by hand. But then to get a crisper edge, I had to use the hammer. So it is what it is. And, that'll come out with some little bit of tapping and a bit of body filler. But the piece is in. The hoses go through nicely. I'm happy with the fit. I just got to trim a little piece off of here, and I'll have to fill this, but that looks good. I left this long over here because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet, so I figured, I'll leave it. But it comes up beautifully, and as you might be able to see, we've got some nice clearance there in case I need to put any, if I need to run like a round bar through there or something, I might have just enough to squeak in like a 1.5-inch tube or something to go straight across if I need. And I've got clearance at the top or some wiring or something. Now, what I'll do is I'll trim this firewall here. I'll mark it and cut it, and then I'll be able to weld that from the inside, once I take the unit out. But my heating system all fits nice. Technically, I probably could have kept the AC. I still have the condenser and I have the hoses. I could bend them to put them in place if I wanted, but why? What do I need AC for? It's a convertible. I've already said that, but anyway, all it's going to do is rob power, because this thing's not going to have enough power as it is. So that's where we are with that right now. So I am going to, what am I going to do? I still have to bury this nut. So I still have to dimple this in. So what I'll probably, what I'll have to do is I'll have to take a measurement from the inside, which is gonna be a nightmare. But I'll figure something out, and then I'm gonna have to make something up, because I don't seem to have anything that is gonna work. I got rid of everything. So that's kind of next on our agenda, is to get that dimpled, then trim the ledge down here and get rid of the big heavy bracket that's there. What I might do is I might see about maybe having to weld a bracket to this or something just to make it stiffer, but I doubt it. And then we can actually start to, maybe we'll clean that all up. Don't know if I'm going to end up tacking it into place, because I want to actually work on some of this here as well. So let's at least get that dimpled and get this little piece trimmed, and then we can go from there. Alrighty, we got that tacked into place there. Got that hole. Wow, did that thing warp? So when I welded the piece in here, this thing just absolutely oil canned like crazy. I ended up having to shrink the bottom, and then I had to put this in with my little groover. It makes it a little stiffer, but it also just helped to straighten out the part. But it looks good. I'm happy with it. I've tacked it into place, and it's nice and solid. It's not going anywhere, which is great. And then, the other thing I did is I tacked these into place. They were originally here, and I had to move them down, and that's those are the mounts for the center console. It actually bolts right to there, so it stays in. So it's 1, 2, 3. There was a rubber grommet in here. It was green. It had a little black center, and it sat in here, and it filled up the space underneath. And I have no idea where it is. I know I didn't throw it out. It was with that, unit. It's at the bottom, but it's got to be like in one of the containers that I've got somewhere. I haven't found it yet. So, I know that I'll find it before I finish, putting that in place. So that's where we're at right now. Again, I'm tacking stuff into place, not finish welding it until I'm, get everything tacked into place. So moving on, I guess what we're going to do next is we're going to fill all these little holes that are here. And on the other side, there was one that I had cut away a long time ago, right here. So I got to make parts, make cardboard cutouts for those, and tack those into place as well. So may as well get the ball rolling on that. Okay, so we got that hole patched up with 3 pieces, and we patched up this one. And I mean, I'm not going for that whole smooth firewall thing, as you can probably tell. I'm going for the let's fix the holes as easy as possible. As cool as those super smooth firewalls look, I don't have an English wheel. I don't have, a really deep groove machine. I don't have a power hammer or any of those tools, and I don't have a long break. So, I don't have any of those tools that you really need to do a full-on smooth firewall. Let's face it, my skill just is not up there. So maybe next car. Next car I'll do a smooth firewall. But this car, we're just going to do whatever we can. So now that I have that all tacked into place, I am going to take a look at this area of the car again, where the steering wheel is, and where it comes through. I still have a little patch to do over here, but I'm going to get to that a little bit later. This is good and secure. What I want to do is I want to get I'll have to get the booster in with the brake pedal so I can see how high the brake pedal is, and then we have to come up and over that brake pedal. Likelihood, I trimmed it away as minimal as possible around the brake pedal. Likely, I'm going to cut this off. I'll probably just come straight back and up and across, and literally make it a flat box just at that height. And the same here. What I'll do is, once I've got that height, I'll just trim this down to size and make it perfectly flat. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And let's get the steering wheel and brake booster back into place and go from there. All right. Okay, so I got my a square, but my square is not perfectly square. So there's a way to fix that. What you do is if the square is less than 90 degrees, you can hit it with a punch here and here. And what that'll do is that'll spread this out and straighten it. If it's more than 90 degrees, then you hit it over here and here, and it will squeeze these together. It'll spread that corner out. So that's what I'm going to do in order to get this square. Well, I've got chicken fingers. Well, nuggets anyways. All right, so what I've done is, as you can see, this is the original location of the the wiper motor went here, and I should probably grab the motor and see that it fits in this space that I got left here, just because of the way I'm doing things here. But yeah, so basically what I've done is I've boxed all this in. I got to trim this piece of metal here, but that kind of seals off the driver footwell, except for a little piece there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this side, the top, and this piece from a single piece, and then this has to be a separate piece, and that has to be a separate piece, just because this is not square to the bottom here. It's actually on an angle. So if I try to bend this or this, I end up with a V groove here. It just won't work. So yeah, let's get maybe, I'll leave this piece until later once I've metal in, but let's grab the motor and just see where it fits. If it fits, I may need to take a little bit more of this off, but I have the the whole brake unit is, you can't even see it. Let me see if I can get some light in there for you. The brake unit's all up in there, right? And there is space. There's actually a fair bit of space above it. I didn't want to do like another step. Like the steering column comes down here. I could do this, like that, and then have this drop down, which I might actually have to do. But let's see. Let's take a look at the motor first. That's how the motor goes in. As you can see, it's proud of the surface. There is room for it, but we kind of have that inner seam on the underside of the hood. So yeah, we're gonna have to cut this down. But what I'm probably gonna do is I'll go like here on a diagonal. Give myself just the room that I need. So I'll come from this corner and just come diagonally across to there. And just drop it down, flatten it off, and that'll also give me something to mount this to. So, yeah, let's make that happen. Well, there we go. That piece is now in. I just kind of measured there. It's got about 1/8 of an inch or so. I still have to do this piece in here. I got a little piece here. I got a little piece there, and I got some pieces down in here. But and I got a bit of a hole there to fill. But I'm actually quite happy with the way this is coming together. So those little pieces and the finish welding can be done, after I've taken the brake booster out and everything. But this is like super solid now. It's like, way more solid than it needs to be. So I ended up lowering this enough that the motor actually will sit there. And there used to be a bracket right here that was actually just about this high. So the motor's going to sit exactly where it sat before. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. What am I going to do? Well, I got to figure out that side now. That one has the air intake, and I still have to figure out how I'm going to get fresh air into the cabin. I couldn't say that with a straight face. Oh my God. Yeah. So, anyway, let's have a think about where we're moving forward here. All right. Well, patched. I'm actually quite happy with that little one. And patched. So that is this side, except for this thing here, which I will do once I get the steering wheel out. So yeah, that is that side tack welded in and ready for finish welding now. All right. That is all the time I've got for this episode. That was a lot of front end, getting the front of the car back on. We did a lot of stuff here. Yeah. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and see you next time.